9 or Kenilworth Park, 202 Brickfield Road, Overport. Simplex Radio, the name you can trust.
Ramadan is around the corner and preparation starts now. Get ready for a blessed month with Ramadan specials at the Al-Ansar shop. From premium quality dates, refreshing Zamzam water to beautiful Ramadan gifting ideas for family, friends and loved ones, Al-Ansar shop has everything you need to welcome the holy month. Perfect for iftar and meaningful gifts that come from the heart. Visit Al-Ansar shop today and prepare for Ramadan the right way. Call 031-208-1601 or visit us at 207 West Road in Overport. Al-Ansar shop, preparing hearts and homes for Ramadan.
I dedicate this month to you.
No need for cooking lessons when you can be your own master chef with Spice Genie. Our unique box range of 21 authentic dishes offers you the perfect solution. So whether you are mom in a hurry, a student or having friends over, the Spice Genie offers stress-free cooking that turns out perfect every time. Saving you time, saving you money. Spice Genie range now available at Amina's Wonder Spice, BB's Bakery and Delta Superette. The Spice Genie, a perfect meal every time.
The Al-Ansar Foundation, Da'wah, Tarbiyah and Education, establishing the foundations of Islamic civilization in South Africa.
Get ready for Green Thumbs Up, the gardening and natural living show you didn't know you needed. I'm your host and life coach, Rabia Carvalho, and we're talking birds, bees, butterflies and blooms, growing food in garden rooms, home-based holistic healing and much more. Whether you're a seasoned gardener or nature lover, plant assassin or permaculture professional, we got you. We got you. Let us bring you the ideas, the facts, support and inspiration to go green wherever you are. Sundays 9 to 10 a.m. only on Radio Al-Ansar.
Look at the sun, look at the sky,
South Africa.
Look at the bird, it's flying so high. Look at the stars, shining so bright in the middle of the night. Oh look, there's a shooting star.
Hey, 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 it's Green Thumbs Up Day. It is Sunday. Welcome, Sunny Bonani. Hello, good morning. Goeiemorgen, my menses. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To all the listeners out there in Radio Al-Ansar land, I am your host, Rabia Carvalho, for Green Thumbs Up, and I'll be with you from 9 to 10 a.m. this morning. Well, it's 12 past 9 at the moment, all the way through to 10 o'clock, where we will take the news once again. And with me in studio, as always, is our sound engineer, Brother Siboniso Mkize. Boop, boop, boop. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Salam. How are you on Al-Ansari land?
Amen. Alhamdulillah. Man. We are pushing towards Ramadan. Inshallah. It'll be soon. And I hope everybody have their bits and pieces together. And if not, listen, you've only got 2 days left. So inshallah, you get your stuff together. You looking forward to it? Inshallah. With the heat, folks, remember to stay hydrated. It is going to be perfectly important to stay hydrated in the times that you are eating. And hydration always means sip. Don't gulp. Gulping only produces air, and that gets into your tummy, and then you can't digest properly. And the next day, you wake up as big as a balloon, and you don't know why, and you can't eat because your tummy is full of air. Now, today, we are going to be doing Nature's Apothecary, and we're going to be focusing on some beautiful herbs. We're also going to be talking about things that pop out in this weather. Do you know what things pop out in this weather? All sorts of things pop out. It's been really hot. Let me give you a tip. It's been really hot, Siboniso, and then we got rain.
Yeah, boy.
And so what happens is the grass gets bigger, longer. And then things start to crawl around in the grass and go, and they're in your roof. And the next thing you know, you have something coming for those. And these things slither around in your garden. And today we have a specialist that's going to tell us all about these slithery beings, which is, of course, snakes. But before we do that, we're going to be talking about the weather in Joburg. My Joburg friends out there, today is 19 degrees maximum. If we look at the entire week ahead, all is well, dear friends, all is well, great temperatures. And then, of course, you're going to get spot rain towards the end of the week. So it is still going to be very, very, very warm throughout. In Durban, folks, we are looking forward to a rainy week. Alhamdulillah, Ramadan is coming. We need a bit of coolness. Why not? Inshallah, yes. We've got some cooler temperatures throughout the week, like a sudden drop. We're going from 32s to like 22s, 10 degrees less. So remember, sharp temperatures. Make sure that your plants are not flooded with water. Tip them over gently so that all that water can kind of strain out. And we've spoken about rainy weather. We're going to have rainy weather this week, but the temperature is still going to be good. 22 all the way to 27 degrees. So that's what you can look forward to. And then if we look at Cape Town, I mean, Cape Town is lately at this time of the year, it's sun, sun, sun. Sun, sun, sun. Here comes the sun, and it is going to be there all week long. So that is to do with the weather in Joburg, Durban, and Cape Town. If you're joining us, you'll be joining us on 90.4 FM in Durban, and of course in Pietermaritzburg, 105.6 FM. But remember, you can get us on all of the Al Ansar social medias on video as well. So you can join us there, and our WhatsApp line 060-904-1056, as we now talk about things that are very, very important and relevant to the weather that we are currently having. You see, Luke Kemp is our guest today, and Luke studied zoology at Rhodes University. He completed his honors degree on African vertebrates. He's worked for the African Snakebite Institute for 8 years now, so just under 10 years, and he is building awareness about venomous snakes and handling snakes, and he's doing training sessions throughout South Africa and across Africa. So he's just the person to speak to, and we have him on the line here, and he's going to tell us all the things that we need to know about these creatures that may be evocative of fright and scare, but are also incredibly, incredibly beautiful. Handle with respect. Good morning, Luke. How are you?
Hey.
And thank you for coming to the show this morning.
Yeah, good morning, Rabia. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
So snakes always interesting, and snakes always bring up kind of two feelings. They want to run for the hills, or they're curious about it. How did you get started with snakes?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I was always interested in animals. My family, I think, initially used to kill snakes. They were pretty scared of them. And I met a guy who was catching them and relocating them. I was 8 or 9 years old. And I think that completely changed my opinion about them, that you could actually move these animals away and they weren't as bad as everyone thought.
So I have a snake in my greenhouse, and he just kind of moved in there, and I've left him there, and we've named him Frederick. And Frederick lives in the greenhouse, and he's very good at catching all sorts of bugs. Snakes do that, don't they? What kind of things do they eat?
Yeah, majority of snakes will be eating rodents, so like rats and mice, a lot of geckos and lizards. We've got some specialists, and for you guys with the horticulture side, like slug eaters are fantastic. They eat purely snails and slugs. So if you've got herbs and plants, they're really good at controlling those snails and slugs that would damage your crops. So yeah, we've got a variety of different eating snakes.
And people always talk about snakes. I mean, not snakes, but snails and slugs. What do we do with snails? What do we do with snails? And I say, get a little bowl, fill it up with 0 alcohol beer or otherwise water with sugar with yeast so that it starts to ferment. Put it into the ground so that the lip of the cup is up, because I know these questions are going to come in. And let the snakes kind of go in there. I mean, the snails and the slugs, they'll bomb dive it and then they'll drown. The other thing is put little bricks around, and the snails and slugs will be there early morning when you pick it up. Alternatively, as Luke says, bring some snakes in.
Yeah.
Now, how do we know? Because if we have snakes, I mean, I happen to know that the snake is not poisonous, old Frederick, because it's just green. It's just this lime green, skinny marinka-dinka-dink, and it's got some little black markings on it.
Yeah, it sounds like a little spotted bush snake. They are super common in gardens in Durban and most of KZN, actually. And they feed largely on the geckos that we get in the house and stuff like that. So that's why they're often around the house and the gardens.
Okay, so I have a lot of geckos, so that would explain it, as most of us do here in Durban. And the way I came about old Frederick was my cat brought him into the house as a gift.
Yeah.
And he was slithering around on the kitchen floor. And I thought, first thing I did was take a picture and Google Lens this thing because I wanted to know, am I going to get bitten if I approach the snake? Because I think they stay away from us. I don't know, but I was like, I'm not taking any chances. And then I realized it's just a little bush snake. Let me grab it by the tail. And it reminded me of those games we had as kids that those magic cubes, but they were snakes. I don't know, this could be before your time. And you walked around with it and the thing still kept upright. So that's how I maneuvered old Frederick, grabbed him by the tail and put him into the greenhouse. And he's very happy there.
Yeah, I can imagine. Nice and warm, lots of food.
Yes, so now tell me, there are many different snakes. And when we look at a snake, we never know, is this poisonous or not? And often people do just that, as your parents did. Oh, there's a snake, whack it with a shovel.
Yeah. I mean, Southern Africa, we have 177 different species of snakes. So we have a huge variety. South Africa, it's about 120 odd species. And there are a lot of snakes that look very, very similar. The little harmless bush snakes and green snakes, but a juvenile green mamba is similar to that. So people often see it, they assume it's a green mamba, they kill it, but it's actually often a bush snake. So it's not easy to learn all the snakes. And we always advise people, don't pick them up, don't touch them, because people sometimes misidentify them. But yeah, the majority are going to be non-venomous or at least mildly venomous and not a danger to humans. They don't require a spade or anything. You can just let them go their way.
Now, I believe, so I live near the Palmet Nature Reserve. And the Palmet, I believe, has more poisonous snakes per square meter than anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the sort of the design of Durban, is that we've got a lot of these little gullies, these kloofs that cut through, and Palmet is one of them. And so, the rest of the area has been developed over the last 60, 80 years. And so the snakes are kind of restricted to these gullies, these kloofs. So if you go into Palmet, there's probably 6 different species of highly venomous snakes, including black mambas. It really is an amazing area for snakes, and it's sort of this last conservation region for these snakes to move up and down in between the city.
I was always happy to walk around in the Palmet until I discovered that, you look at the water, and when the water is slow, you can actually see the lines in the sand where these little things have been, and you don't know what's up in the tree. So I do avoid it. But now, let's say you get bitten by a snake. How's that going to happen? Are you going to confront it? Is it going to get scared? Is it going to just jump out at you and fall out of a tree? We hear stories of, people walking around and the snake just jumped on me and bit me. And I'm thinking, surely not.
Yeah, the majority of time snakes are defending themselves. You stand on it accidentally, you hurt it, you corner it, you don't see it in the back of a greenhouse whilst you're messing around there, and you accidentally get too close, they'll defend themselves. They're not aggressive by nature. They don't come after you. I mean, people tell me mambas chase you. If that was true, I mean, Durban has got such a high density of black mambas. We would see huge amounts of bites in the Durban area, and we just don't. We see a bite every year or every 2 years from black mambas. So it's largely accidental. It's, you corner any wild animal, it's going to defend itself.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the ones that we might find in our garden, if you can describe them to us, that are not poisonous.
Yeah, so spotted bush snakes, like you've mentioned, are going to be super common. They're in almost every garden in Durban. Nice green color, black spots on the neck. Usually 60, 80 centimeters, very quick, good at climbing. We see a lot of brown house snakes as well. It's going to be a nice sort of russet brown snake, light stripes above the eye, sometimes some light patterns on the neck, largely moving at night. So during the day, we might find them under pots or hiding in the garden, but at night, you might see them moving around. And then the little herald snakes, also pretty common. Sort of an olive greenish gray snake, also move at night. They love toads. And so whenever we've got toads in the garden, they're coming in at night, they're going to catch the toads. They are mildly venomous, but not a problem to humans. A little bit of maybe itching and swelling if you do get bitten. Those are going to be the 3 most common in the encountered.
All right, so I've seen those olive green ones on my driveway, but only dead because I have Jack Russell.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, Jack Russells, they think they're Superman, Superwoman. Jack Russells will hunt snakes. And this is the thing, is we must be careful with our animals because they will go for snakes and sometimes get bitten. So if you see a snake, folks, don't send your dog into, go fetch, boy. No.
Yeah. The other thing we see is we get quite a few Mozambique spitting cobras around the Durban area. And when the dogs go in, they get sprayed in the face pretty quickly. And so you got to get that dog under a tap, under a hose pipe, just flush those eyes out as best you can. 5-10 minutes, and the dog should be fine again. But they are relatively common, and unfortunately, the dogs get spat a lot by them.
Now, how do we know it's a Mozambican spitting cobra? Or what does it do? Does it like have a different kind of head or?
No, it's really tricky to tell because if it's just slithering, it's going to just be a brown snake. It's only if it pops up into a hood that you'll see the dark barring under the throat, or a bit of black on the side of the head and the sort of the eyes. But it's quite easy to misidentify it if you're not common with them. And they're common in palmite, like you mentioned earlier. So best to just treat them all as just potentially dangerous. Just back off, leave them alone. But yeah, spitting cobras they're a problem.
When in doubt, call a snake catcher, folks. They'll come out.
And you guys have got a lot of them in the Durban area. I mean, there's Nick Evans, Jason Arnold, there's Byron. There's a whole bunch of guys down there who'll help you and remove snakes.
Yes, I remember Jason came to the house once because we had a really, really long, really fat brown snake in my garage. And we opened the door and we saw this thing slither, and it took quite a while to slither because it was big. And he came along and he said, "Oh no, that's nothing." He just grabbed the thing and kind of threw it over back into the forest. Like, he's fine. He just needs to go back to the forest, back where he came from. Probably running away from the dogs, that kind of thing. Yeah. But so if you see a spitting cobra kind of starting to stand up and open up I don't know what you call it when they open up, they begin to blossom at you.
Yeah.
If you see a snake blossom at you, is it then too late? Because spitting cobras, don't they do things quite fast?
Yeah, so generally their first defensive warning strategy is to expand the hood and try and look larger to intimidate you. And then if you still approach them, they're going to spray venom up to about 2.5 meters on a big snake. And then if you still approach them further, they're going to bite. So they have 3 lines of defense telling you to back off. Generally, the initial one is going to be to stand up and sort of try and almost do a mock charge and chase you off with intimidation. But sometimes you have them in the crack of side of a building or a wall, and you walk past them, you're cornering them. They often just spray from the crack. Okay. But generally, snakes are going to warn you.
Okay, and so it's like a watch out, don't get close, and then it's going to be like, "Hey, I told you," and the next time it's like, "Zap, nah, I told you so, didn't I? Didn't I tell you? I told you so." You want to more play. So, folks, the venom of this particular spitting cobra, it goes in your eyes. As humans, what do we then do?
Yeah, it's incredibly painful. It's like pepper spray. It's really, really going to burn. You're going to be temporarily blinded because of the pain. You're not going to be able to keep your eyes open. The snake is going to turn and run away. That's their normal strategy. Is they spray and they run. The best thing to do is just get under some water, get into a bathroom, a tap, open that eye as best you can, flush it 5-10 minutes. We advise people go to a clinic. They might give you some antibacterial ointment or some painkillers. Your eyes are going to be puffy and very tender for a day, maybe 2 days. The swelling should go down. You should be fine again. So you're not going to go blind from these, but this is incredibly painful.
Okay, that's good to know that you won't go blind. You're not going to die from it.
No,
but okay, so but if they bite you, then what happens? Because then the poison is kind of under the skin.
Yes, yeah. So the venom in the eyes is not too bad, but in the skin, it's a big problem. And with spitting cobras, it's the same with night adders and a couple of other snakes around Durban. It causes huge amounts of swelling and inflammation, and then becomes discoloration, a lot of blistering, and eventually the tissue, the skin starts sort of rotting away. It starts dying. So the best thing is you get to a hospital or a clinic as soon as possible. If you're in nice and early, they'll be able to administer antivenom. It should neutralize all the venom in your system, and you'll have a less bad results. But if you take too long, unfortunately, they often have to start doing some surgeries and skin grafts and cleaning up some of the dead skin.
Now, if you get bitten by a snake and you don't know what snake it was, how are you going to now go to the hospital and say, "I got bitten by a snake. I didn't see the thing." How do they know what antivenom to give you?
Yeah, so generally we don't actually need to know the species. Our snakes have got 3 different types of venoms in South Africa. And so the 3 different venoms have 3 different symptoms that we experience. So one, the spitting cobras, we call it a cytotoxic venom. It's a lot of swelling, a lot of pain, a lot of discoloration. Neurotoxins are found in snakes like the mambas. That's going to start basically shutting down your nervous system and paralyzing a lot of muscles in your body, especially in the face. So we see drooping eyelids, we see tingly lips, people are salivating, they can't speak very well, and then eventually they start struggling to breathe. And that's obviously the most dangerous part of mambas, is they stop you from breathing. And then snakes like vine snakes, the twig snakes, or worm slung, we have a hemotoxic venom, a blood-attacking venom. It prevents the blood from clotting. And so blood starts moving underneath the skin. You start getting blood moving through mucous membranes. You start urinating blood. And eventually you can get blood in the brain, which is life-threatening. So if we have a snakebite patient that comes into a hospital, we just need to see those 3 different types of venom. Are they bleeding under the skin? Are they struggling to breathe? Or is there a lot of swelling and discoloration? We don't need to know the snake, as long as we know the venom. Then for hemotoxic snakes, we've got one polyvalent antivenom that works, a monovalent antivenom that works very well for the worm slung. All of the other snakes are covered by one polyvalent antivenom. So it's going to cover all your mambas, all your cobras, all your adders, rincas. It's going to cover 10 different snakes in one antivenom. So we don't need to know the identity. We just need to see what venom we're dealing with.
Ah, that's great, because often I hear people say, you need to know what snake is. So then people go running after the snake to take a picture of the snake. And now the second person is bitten, or the second person gets sprayed in the eyes, or whatever the case is. I heard a story, I don't know, is this an urban legend, that if you get bitten by a black mamba, or was it a green mamba? One of the mambas, mamba, baby, mamba, whatever. One of the mambas, I think you get, but one of the mambas, I don't know. But the story was that you could spend like 2 years in hospital before you start to heal, because the effects of the snake bite is very fast. Is that right? Does it sound right?
Not entirely. With
good.
mambas, generally what we see is that if you get into hospital and you get antivenom, or even not, they can intubate you, they can ventilate you, and should keep you alive. The venom should break down in about 72 hours, being a natural protein. But your body still has, it has a lot of shock. Your organs have taken a lot of strain. They've been purifying all these toxins out of your system. So often for the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, up to a month, you have some complications, often a bit of a dry throat. Your organs are not very happy. They're still sort of recovering. But it's not years.
Okay. Also not a worm slung. So this is not a recovery of years that people need.
No, but things like worm slung may do long-term damage. So we often see like the capillaries in your lungs, the small blood vessels often burst with worm slung bites. And so that can scar the inside of your lungs quite badly. So 2, 3, 4 years later, you can have 50% lung capacity. You can struggle with sports or activities because your lungs are damaged from the venom. And obviously with spitting cobras with cytotoxic venoms, that's very common. Often they have to amputate fingertips or skin grafts. That can have long-term effects, which can obviously be really nasty.
You hear that? You hear that, Benisu? Watch out for snakes, hey? Watch out for snakes. Luke, we're just going to take an ad break and we're going to come back to you. If you please stay where you are, folks, listeners, please stay where you are. If you have any questions about snakes, or you've seen one, you've got a story to tell, share it with us. We want to hear from you. 060904 1056. We'll be right back with Green Thumbs Up straight after the break.
Call us now on 0861 904 904.
At the new Checkers Saxony Westwood, you'll find everything from our signature steakhouse classic cuts, expertly aged and ready for the braai. Try something exclusive like our Simple Truth certified lamb, responsibly sourced, free range, and raised without added growth hormones or promoters. Checkers Saxony Westwood, butchery, bakery, and deli, certified by the NIHT. Doors open on October 30th. See you there.
As school opens, School Matters, in partnership with Save Hyper and Radio Al-Ansar, is calling you to help a child step into the new year with confidence. We're collecting school uniforms and school shoes, new or gently used, for learners in need. Drop off your donations at Save Hyper 362 Victoria Road or at Radio Al-Ansar 240 Ortman Road, Monday to Friday, 9:30 to 3 p.m. Let's come together, uplift our community, and make a real difference, one child at a time. School Matters, Save Hyper, and Radio Al-Ansar, because education starts with dignity.
The Sunday Lounge with Salma Kazi Wahab. 10 to 12. Latest machines, celebrity artist features, events, news from the Nasheed world. Sunday Lounge with Salma Kazi Wahab.
WhatsApp us now on 060 904 1056.
Hungry for a deal that hits the spot? Get the top duo deal. 2 large margarita pizzas plus 1 topping each for $1.99. Or go big or go home with the Bellissima duo deal. 2 large Bellissima pizzas for $2.69. Pure flavor perfection. And that's not all. The snack box combos are here. Your pizza boy's favorite pack to the ultimate munch box. Don't forget our daily lunch specials. Delicious, quick, and wallet friendly. Only at Pizza Boys. Taste that hits different. Pizza Boys, bring your far boom to your slice of life. Find your nearest Pizza Boys near you. Pizza Boys, we don't cut corners.
Teaching you something new every day. Radio Al-Ansar.
Get ready for Green Thumbs Up, the gardening and natural living show you didn't know you needed. I'm your host and life coach, Rabia Carvalho, and we're talking birds, bees, butterflies, and blooms, growing food in garden rooms, home-based holistic healing, and much more. Whether you're a seasoned gardener or nature lover, plant assassin, or permaculture professional, we got you. We got you. Let us bring you the ideas, the facts, support, and inspiration to go green wherever you are. Sundays 9 to 10 a.m. only on Radio Al-Ansar. Welcome back to Green Thumbs Up, and we are talking today with Luke Kemp about snakes. Very important, because as gardeners, we are always out there, and our families are out there, and our kids are out there, and Ramadan is coming, and we want to be safe. So it is time for snakes to come out this time of the year. I'm sure with the rains that we'll be getting in the next week, our grasses are going to grow, mice will come in. And so Luke is here to tell us all about what to do with snakes. Now, Luke, in the ad break, I found a little story, and I always like to share the stories with little kiddies. So this one's for the kiddies, dear listeners. And it's a very short little story about Saffron. Saffron was a snake. In tall green grass where wild flowers wake lived Saffron, a shy little golden snake. She slid through the meadow quiet and slow, but wherever she went, the animals would go. "Snake!" cried the rabbits, hopping away. The birds flew off in a feathery spray. Saffron just sighed beneath the sun's glow. "I wish they knew me, but they don't really know." One day a mouse was lost and afraid, crying alone in the tall grass shade. Saffron came slowly, calm as could be. "I'll help you home. Just follow me." She made a safe path, smooth and wide. The mouse walked bravely by her side. Soon they reached home safe once more, and the animals learned what kindness is for. Now when she passes, they smile and they say, "Not all who are different should be chased away." So there's a little story for the listeners out there. And yes, not all snakes are evil. Snakes are not evil anyway, but not all snakes are a threat, right? So how do we protect, Luke? How do we protect our gardens if we are scared of snakes? We don't want them to come in. We know that this is an area with lots of snakes. How do we stop them from getting in?
Yeah, I think the number one thing with gardens is keep them nice and tidy. You know, snakes enjoy nice long grass. They enjoy thick bushes, vegetation growing up against buildings. That's going to attract snakes as places to hide. So keep the grass short. You don't want piles of roofing material or logs or rocks or anywhere for them to hide underneath. Keep that away from the house, and you'll have less snakes. Snakes are often attracted by food sources. So, you know, if you've got ponds and dripping taps, you've got frogs, you're going to have snakes. If you've got compost heaps, you've got rats and mice, you're going to have snakes. So if you can move that stuff away from the house, you'll reduce the number of snakes you'll have in an area.
Okay, would snakes hide in a vegetable garden, or would they rather prefer to hide where they can't be seen, like among, as you say, rocks and bricks and cement? And
yeah, vegetable gardens are usually pretty sparse, right? There's not too much cover in a garden compared to a nice thick hedge or thick vegetation. So largely they're gonna be in rather thicker vegetation than a vegetable garden.
Okay, so keep things neat, keep things clear.
Yeah.
That is the tip. In terms of these snake sprays that keep snakes away, do they actually work? How do they work? Because it all sounds like mumbo jumbo to me.
It is all mumbo jumbo. It's absolutely rubbish, unfortunately. In fact, Wits University has published, or they're working on a really nice paper at the moment where they've tested all of the different snake repellents. They've tested old diesel, Jay's fluid, Condy's crystals, manganese, geraniums, garlic, lavender, all the supposed snake repellents. And they've showed that none of those symptoms or things work at all, unfortunately. So the idea is that these chemicals, if you put them around, the snakes will smell them and it'll repel them. Snakes smell very different to humans. So if we open creosote or Jay's fluid, we've got a lot of moisture in our nasal cavity. We suck in those chemicals, it reacts, it burns our nose. Snakes are smelling with their tongues. They pull their tongues out, they pick up scent particles out the air, they pull it back, and they're basically tasting what's in the environment. And so they're slithering along and they say, oh, old diesel, and they keep going. It's not going to stop them, unfortunately.
That's
so
amazing.
Yeah, a lot of that is just a scam, unfortunately, a big money-making scheme.
Yeah. So the key tips, if you could give us 5 key tips maybe for you in your home, you live in KwaZulu-Natal, there may be snakes. What are those 5 key takeaway tips for us?
Yeah, I think you always have to just be vigilant. Just, keep an eye out. A lot of our snakes move at night and a lot of our bites happen at night. People walk around in flip-flops or barefoot at night and end up standing on a snake just outside the front door or something. So have a torch, have some shoes on. That's always good to just make sure you're aware. Working in the garden, just be vigilant. Just keep your eyes open. We've got a free app, ASI Snakes. It has about 800 snake removers around the country who do these snake removals. Always great to have a local snake catcher on speed dial.
Yes.
So you have a snake, keep eyes on it whilst you wait for the snake catcher to come, and they can easily relocate that animal for you, move it off. Like we said, keep the garden nice and clean. You can also take shade cloth on the outside of a fence, bury it slightly into the ground and sort of erect it up against the fence. Snakes can't climb that, and so that makes a nice physical barrier to keep them out of your property. And then a lot of the snakes, cats you mentioned earlier, cats are often catch snakes and they bring them into the house. They hide them under your bed or something.
Yeah.
So just be careful with that. Dogs, you'll often hear them. They have quite an excited bark if they find a snake. But like you said as well, best to get your dogs away. They might be able to catch and kill snakes now, but when they get a little bit older, they're eventually a little bit too slow, and you don't want your dog to die from a snake bite. So a lot of times it's just being vigilant and just keeping the garden as clean as possible.
And as a last one, maybe listeners, if we can add from what Luke said, is if you do get bitten, wash the area out, but get medical attention quickly, because they are going to look for specific symptoms, and then based on those symptoms, you'll get the antivenom. But if you don't get the antivenom, then things could get really, really bad, really dark.
Yeah, well, actually, in a lot of our bites, a lot of the bites are relatively mild, even from highly venomous species. The snake, it has a bite, but it only catches you with one fang or small amounts of venom. And often they don't require antivenom in the hospital. They can treat it symptomatically, just a lot of fluids to reduce the swelling, a lot of painkillers, and within a couple of days, you should be fine again. So people often panic that there's no antivenom available or maybe not at the local hospital. It's still treatable without antivenom. It's just going to take a little bit longer.
Well, Luke, thank you so much for sharing all of this valuable information with us. It's been most illuminating. And for the listeners, we will be soon having the snakes come into studio, and I will have a giveaway at that point in time. So look out over the next few weeks, because snake watching is almost a thing like bird watching. Some people go out and they look for snakes and they want to find them and identify them. Oh, look what I spotted today. Look what I spotted the next day. So Luke, thank you so much once again. And would you give us those details again, contact details where listeners can go and find out more about snakes?
Yeah, so the app is probably the best. You can get it on Apple and Android on the Play Store. So that's ASI Snakes. It's a free download with huge amounts of information, includes spiders and scorpions, and then all of the snakes of Southern Africa. In fact, Africa, we've got a whole bunch of African profiles as well. So that's probably the best.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Luke.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rabia. Keep well.
Thank you. You too. Bye. So, folks, that was Luke Kemp, and he was talking to us about snakes, and I find it absolutely fascinating, and I'm sure you did too. A message from Sister Sarah Bibi Mustafa. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Sarah. She says, Assalamu alaikum, my dear Rabia Carvalho. Hey, hey. Welcome to an adorable, blessed green thumbs up show with beautiful nasheeds and not straight hereafter, yes, with Sister Salma Kazi Wahab will have her nasheed show, the Sunday Lounge. So she also says, Ramadan Mubarak to you and your family, the entire Al Ansar family, and your technician also. not having your tea, juice, or coffee on studio today, enjoy your delicious any juice or tea or coffee. She says, me, I don't like snakes. I don't even like to look at them. I'm very, very frightened. Formerly from Reservoir Hills, and there were plenty in our garden and on our trees. Absolutely. Now, back in the day, in the ancient days, now don't try this, folks, because we heard about, what venoms can do. But back in the day, from a nature's apothecary perspective, what would they have done? The first thing would have been to take borage. Now, borage is a beautiful herb. It has beautiful flowers that look like little purple stars, whitish, creamish purple stars, and they've got little black tips inside, almost like the mouth of an octopus. That's what it reminds me of. And they smell really, really fragrant, but gentle. You could put them in an ice cube. Those leaves, they would take those leaves, they would crush them with a rolling pin, and they would apply it to snake bites, bind it in place to kind of draw out the toxins. Now, whilst it doesn't work for snake bites because we don't know the snakes, it does certainly work for insect bites. So you could use borage for that. Borage is a lovely tasting herb that you could put into your salads as well. Now, what else could you put into your salads at this time of the year that's going to help you during Ramadan? Ramadan, it's an important time to make sure you get your fiber, but also your water. If you're eating a lot of fiber, but not consuming water in the times when you are not fasting, then you're going to have soap with no water, and your tummy is going to block up. And then you start to run risks of all sorts of things, including diverticulitis, which is not a good idea. So nettle, here's an important herb for Ramadan. Nettle is traditionally used for the skin. It is a blood tonic. It is a kidney tonic. It is a liver tonic. This is for educational purposes, folks. Everything we do here is educational purposes. It does not offer a substitution for medical advice. So always consult with your medical doctor. Nettle, for example, is a wonderful herb, but if you have a coagulation or non-coagulation going on in your blood, like hypercoagulation situation, then nettle might not be a good one for you. However, if you have issues with plasma or you don't have enough platelets in your blood, nettle tea is a brilliant, brilliant thing to take. It is 1 teaspoon of dry stinging nettle leaves, and it's the Urtiga diorca, so the shorter one, not the long one. So stinging nettle leaves, a 1/4 cup fresh or 1 teaspoon dry, and that is enough for 2 cups. So you're going to take 500 mils of boiling water, pour it over those nettle leaves, and then the trick is let it sit for 5-10 minutes, strain it, and as always with these tisanes that we are asking to give us the medical benefits, we're wanting to sip, not gulp. Sip, sip, sip. If you're getting fatigue and low energy, this is an especially important one. And what happens during Ramadan? Fatigue and low energy. In the old days in Europe, they used to make nettle soup, because it actually used to wake the blood up. So nettle soup from England back in the day, it is still eaten today. It's not a difficult soup to make. And I'm going to give you a recipe. It's a traditional, nourishing recipe for nettle soup. And here's what you're going to need, because nettle leaves grow very, very easily in any garden. They grow quite fast. And for this recipe, you could use any stinging nettle, large or short. Make sure you wear gloves when you are harvesting those stinging nettles. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. You're going to take 2 cups of young nettle leaves. You're going to take 1 medium onion and chop that up. You're going to then peel and dice 1 potato. That's going to add a little bit of creaminess to the soup. You need 2 cloves of garlic, but if you're Portuguese, you can have 5 or 6, who knows. 1 tablespoon of butter or olive oil. You're going to need 1 liter of vegetable or chicken stock. You're going to need salt and pepper. And then if you wanted to, you can have a splash of coconut milk or a splash of cream and garnish it with things like parsley and chives or even just a squeeze of lemon. So here's what you do. You heat the butter or the oil in a pot. You add your onion and you slowly cook that. So you're sauteing your onion till it's soft. You're going to add your garlic and you're going to keep stirring for about 30 seconds. Now you add your potatoes and your stock and let that simmer so that your potatoes can cook in your stock for 3, maybe, well, about 15 minutes actually. 15 minutes would be great. Then you drop in your nettle leaves. They're going to lose their sting as soon as they get cooked, so no fear for that. And they only need to be there in for about 3 or 5 minutes until they wilt. You don't need massive cooking. If you want to, you can blend the soup until it is smooth, or you can have these little pieces of nettle floating in the soup. Entirely up to you. But season it with salt and pepper. Add a little bit of cream if you want it richer. And what that's going to do is it's going to actually work as a blood tonic for you. So yes, by all means, you can have your spicy soup if you like it. But if you're looking for something gentle on the stomach, it's going to be the nettle soup. Speaking of nettles, here's an interesting story. Did you know that in ancient Rome, when the soldiers were going out to cold battles or they were on cold fields, it's cold up in Europe, they would actually rub stinging nettle on their legs. Yes, they would literally get that stinging sensation voluntarily on their legs to improve their circulation. So if you have bad circulation, I suppose that's an option. It's not a fun one, but on the base of your feet, that is an option you can have. The other wonderful herb that you can keep close at hand this Ramadan is, of course, calendula. Why? Because calendula will help you if you have a running tummy. Calendula or marigold, English marigolds, the botanical name is Calendula officinalis. The calendula is great as a tea. It's great as a skin balm. It's great as a hair wash. And it's also a kind of a refreshing tea, right? The bright orange petals were actually used as a replacement for saffron. So it became known as poor man's gold. How interesting is that? Did you know that? Poor man's gold could probably be growing in your grandmother's yard all these years. So, did you know if sunshine decided to become a flower, it would probably apply for a job as a calendula, darlings, or a sunflower, of course. So calendula is there. If you wanted to make a calendula oil to soften your skin during these dehydrated times, because we do get dehydrated during Ramadan, then you're wanting to take a couple of calendula flowers, those bright, beautiful blooms, and put them into a pan with olive oil. So for a cup of olive oil, 2 calendula flowers. Warm the oil through. Make sure you've chopped those flowers up nicely. The oil is going to become a gentle yellow color. When I tell you, this is going to not just hydrate your skin, but it's going to help to even out your skin tone, and it's going to smooth your skin, hydrate your skin, make it feel soft and supple after your lovely shower. Believe me, it is wonderful. And of course, you can add a fragrance of your choice as an essential oil. Something like lemongrass is wonderful if you want it to be fresher, or peppermint, or even lavender. And guess what? That'll double up as an anti-mosquito lotion. Yes, your own lotion or your own oil anti-mosquitoes. Lavender, calendula, and peppermint. There you go. Now, in this time when we are dehydrating in Ramadan, we want hydration in our tissues. That hydration fluid that I always give you the recipe for is your glass of water, a pinch of pink salt, a pinch of bicarbonate of soda. To that, you can add a squeeze of lemon and honey if you like, but those are optional. Alternatively, did you know that marshmallow root tea will rehydrate your tissues from the inside out, including your tummy? So if you're about to eat, before you even have that heavy, spicy soup, please remember the inside of your stomach is going to be dry like cracked earth. So you need something to soothe it before you hit it with that hot, spicy soup that can actually raise acidity and cause you then to have a overgrowth of bacteria in your gut, causing bloating, causing irritation in the stomach. How about a cup of marshmallow tea? then by all means have your ice cold Faluda drinks or whatever you want. But marshmallow root tea can be served cold. It is kind of bland tasting, so a little bit of honey is wonderful. Have it with your dates. Why not? It irritates the digestive tract and it irritates the throat tissues. So you're going to be eating, you haven't been eating, it's going to hydrate the tissue in your throat. It's going to treat any dryness that's there. It's going to moisten and calm any inflammation that has come from a build-up in your body of the toxins. Because guess what happens during Ramadan? Our body starts to detoxify. And before it exits our body, those toxins are all over inside our body. So marshmallow root, you can get the herb at any natural food store or a lot of our pharmacies, the Dis-Chem, for instance, that also keep them. These are it's a great herb that you can have in your apothecary. Marshmallows were once healthy. It was called marshmallow root. And then lastly, of course, our good old yarrow, Aquilia milfolium. Yarrow, one of my favorites, as is, of course, milk thistle. I always talk about these two together, but yarrow is your anti-inflammatory. It was actually named after Achilles of the Greek legend, Achilles' heel, right? Because they used yarrow to treat the wounds of soldiers after the Trojan War. It's also called the traveler's herb, yarrow, because it is a field first aid herb. So it's also a traveling herb for us Muslims, because especially for the ladies who go on Hajj, if you're wanting to delay your menses, then yarrow tea is one that will stop it. If you want it to return, then yarrow tea will again cause it to return. So you drink your yarrow, it prevents it from coming back. You then return and you drink your yarrow again, and it will normalize things. For ladies, of course, it always normalizes menses as well. So during Ramadan, where our body is in a bit of a state of shock, if you find that you have a very, very heavy menses, yarrow will soothe it. If it is very light, it will bring it on properly. Please avoid yarrow completely if you are pregnant or breastfeeding. Yarrow, Aquilia milfolium, is an abortive herb. So do not drink yarrow if you are pregnant. So a few more tips for Ramadan for your planning. Remember, overnight oats is your friend. This is Nature's Apothecary. Overnight oats, here's a great recipe for you. You're going to take a half a cup of oats. Rolled oats is great, not your quick cooking oats. Jungle oats is all right. Half a cup of that, you're going to put it into a container that's got a lid. Overnight oats is your oats. You're going to add some raisins. You can add some nuts if you like raisins. If you don't like raisins, you can add chopped up dates. You're going to add some nuts into there and chia seeds for the protein and for the digestive effect of it. Then you're going to add your milk of choice. In other words, if you like cow's milk, hoy that in. If you like soy milk, put that in. Almond milk, put that in. And put in like equal amounts. So if you've got a half a cup of oats, it's a half a cup of the milk, or more, depending on how thick you like your oats. Close it, put it in the fridge, and leave it in the fridge overnight. What it happens now is it's going to start to process the milk, and the oats is going to start to change. There's a chemical change that happens there, so that when you eat it, it is more readily available for digestion. It doesn't mean it digests fast, but it's a great one for your digestion, so that your body can take nutrients from the food that you eat after the oats. So in the beginning of Ramadan, when everybody is still hungry, start with your oats, then have a good source of protein along with your carbohydrates. If you like your curries, what do you like in the morning for Ramadan, Sibinisu? What do you like for suhoor?
Depending on what my wife.
You like whatever your wife makes. Answered correctly. You like whatever your wife makes. That is that. But folks, if you're listening, that overnight oats, even if you just have 2 tablespoons of it before you consume your food, it's really going to help. And when you're breaking fast, as I said, your marshmallow root tea is great to hydrate your body. If you don't want it before, have it after. Have a rehydration drink of some sort. The recipe I gave you, the marshmallow root tea alternatively, or even get yourself some of the Rehydrate. There's so many different kinds of hydration solutions out there. So important, particularly when it is very, very, very hot. If you're going to be in the sun, remember to cover up if you're in the sun, because your skin is going to be more sensitive. It is going to be more dry. Try to avoid things like Epsom salt baths during Ramadan, because they are going to leak water. And that is all the time that we have for on this show this morning. I hope you've enjoyed it with us. Next week. Gosh, it feels like tomorrow. Inshallah. Next week, Sunday, we're going to focus once again on gardening, but it is the time for the